Hello there, it's summertime and welcome to the Jerkins Family Kitchen. Today we're going to try to do an instruction video on making something we all enjoy, and that's homemade chocolate ice cream. All of us are going to be part of it. I'm Richard. This is my wife Shannon.
Hi.
This is Miss Abigail.
Hello.
This is Sean.
Hello.
This is Zane.
Hello.
This is Liam.
Hello.
And Zeke.
Hello.
Let's get started. We're going to be talking about this from the standpoint that perhaps you've not ever made homemade ice cream before. This is what's known as an ice cream freezer. It's just a small unit for your home that's sold at any average big box store that consists of a plastic tub, a canister, a cap. There is a dasher or a paddle inside, and then there's a motor. The canister clips right in the bottom here, and the motor then latches on this way, and the canister's inside. You plug it in and it turns it. That's the secondary part of our process here, but this is where you start, and right here is a fill line on the canister. This machine is made to make 3 quarts of homemade ice cream, and that is the reason why I'm showing our machine here, because the recipe we're going to use is for this canister for 3 quarts. And if you're going to use a larger machine, you need to know the capacity of your ice cream freezer here, and that way you don't mix the wrong amount or have leftover ice cream and then have to do a half batch, which may or may not turn out. So most of the smaller units are 3 quarts. We have a large family. We're going to make 2 batches for the purpose of the hot portion of the video and then the cold portion, because first you have to cook the ice cream up and then cool it down, and then this will actually be used on the latter part of the video. So at this point, we're going to move forward with our 3-quart ice cream recipe and get started showing you how it's done.
So here's the ingredients we'll need for the chocolate ice cream today. We're going to use 1 cup of cocoa powder. We use Hershey's, but you can use any kind of cocoa powder. 6 cups of half and half. 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. That's all going to go in 1 pot to be heated. And then we're going to use 16 egg yolks, 2.5 cups of sugar. That's going to go in the mixer. And then later on, we're going to use 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And for the ice cream maker, we're going to use 1 box of rock salt, or also called ice cream salt, and 1 bag of ice. So now we're going to put the liquid ingredients into the pot. We're going to measure out 6 cups of half and half. Liam's going to do that for us. There's 4 into the pot. And the 2 more of half and half. And now he's going to measure out 2 cups of whipping cream. And then 1 cup of the Hershey's cocoa. Using, earlier we used the liquid measure cup, and now we're going to use a dry measure cup. He's going to use 1/4 cup at a time to make 1 cup, so he'll use 4 of those. That's going to go on to medium heat, and we're going to stir it and whisk it together. While that is warming up, we'll come over here and we'll mix it into the mixer, the eggs and the sugar. Okay, now Abigail is going to get our sugar measured out, so we need 2.5 cups of sugar. Okay, now Sean can pour our sugar into our mixing bowl. Now we're going to crack our eggs. We have to get 16 egg yolks, so I will show you how to do that. I'm going to separate the egg yolks for the ice cream, and there's a lot of fancy gadgets you can get to separate your yolks from your whites, but I'll just do it the way I was taught. So we crack the egg, and we'll let it go between the two shells to get the white off. And then I put the yolks in one bowl and the shells in another. And you keep going with this until you get 16 eggs. So now we're going to take our egg yolks and we're going to put them in with the sugar. We're going to take our egg whites and we're going to put them in a jar in the fridge for us to use later for breakfast tomorrow. And then we're going to throw our shells in our container away, and then we're going to clean up the counter. So now we've got our sugar and our eggs in the mixer. We're going to mix them until they're all incorporated, and then we're going to temper the eggs. And this is what the mixture looks like after it's begun to heat and get incorporated together after you whisk it for a little while. We're going to set it off of the stove and get it ready to temper the eggs in just a moment. I'll explain that in just a second. Egg yolks mixed in with the sugar, and if you notice, the color has gone from an orangish yellow to a really light yellow. Now we're going to begin adding our warmed liquid to the eggs and sugar to temper them. We do this because if we just put these cold eggs into the warm liquid, they would become like a scrambled egg. They would cook immediately and have pieces of hard rubbery egg in them, and you don't want that in your ice cream. So you temper them by adding a small amount, probably about half of this pot that's at 120 degrees, into the mixing bowl and mixing it and bringing this up in temperature. So we're going to do that now. Take the bowl off of the mixer and put the eggs and sugar and tempered liquid into the pot now, so that we can then begin warming it back up to 175 degrees so there is no bacteria left in the eggs. No worries. Okay, back to the stove. We're gonna go and whisk it until it's done. Sugar mixture on the stove, and you have to keep stirring it pretty constantly or it'll scorch on the bottom on you. So you just keep that moving until you get it to 175 degrees. We've got this neat little infrared thermometer. You can use a candy thermometer or anything, but you just shoot it and it tells you how hot it is. Right now it's at 95 degrees, and we'll keep warming it slowly over medium heat until it comes up to 175. When it comes to 175, we'll be back. The mixture up to 175, we're gonna Also, test it by making sure that it covers the back of the spoon, and if you tilt the spoon sideways, it will cover it and stay on there. That means it's going to be nice and creamy. So now Liam's going to pour it into its container there. We got a little bit of splash on the counter. So, yeah, that's fine. Just pour it straight into the container and then scrape it out. Okay, we've got the ice cream mixture cooled down to about 40 degrees. We've had it in the refrigerator for 4.5 hours. Now we're going to add our 4 teaspoons of vanilla. I only have a half teaspoon, so I'll do 8 of them. And then we're going to put our lid on. And we're going to pack it with ice. You will pack the ice in beside the container. You don't want big chunks. And then you will layer it with some of the ice cream rock salt. Ice cream salt. That helps to get the ice cooler with a chemical reaction. So we'll layer it and then we'll get it started. This will process for about 25 to 30 minutes. When it starts coming up and touching the top of the lid, it's pretty much done. And we usually do this in the sink so that if there is a hole in the side of the bucket, so when the ice starts to melt, it will fall out. So either put it in a pan or in the sink. Then you'll lock the lid on like Richard showed us earlier. There we go. And we plug it in and it'll start churning. So it's been processing for about 30 minutes. I added ice and salt 4 times. And this is our finished result. It looks like pretty good ice cream to me. Creamy, chocolatey. We'll all have a bowl in just a minute. And if we have any left over, then I usually will put the rest into a pint ball jar and freeze it because it's safe for freezing. I think they're going to be pretty happy with it. Looks good.